Good morning and welcome to Zen Fits here in Blackstone, Virginia, the center of the world. Let's talk about the center of the world from a different viewpoint. The title of this morning's talk is An Old Pond. Now, one of my favorite haikus, which is a Japanese poem that is, you can really look at them as koans, particularly the ones by the great masters like Basso. And his haikus are compressed wisdom that if you water them with your attention, they flower into insight. You know, what are those little plants that you water and flowers, you know, like a head of hair or something? I forget the name anyway. So the great haikus are really wisdom capsules that change your viewpoint. So the one I want to talk about this morning is a famous one by Basso. It's just perfect. 3 lines. An old pond. A frog jumps. Plop. Capital letters. Plop. Which means a sound. So let's look at that. Now, at first, from our regular viewpoint of I'm here and the poem is there, I'm here and the words are over there, I'm here and the pond is over there. You walk up to a pond. I have a little pond, and it's got some frogs in it. I don't know how they get there. We're miles from any water. There may not be a frog in it now, but every season, every summer there's a frog. And if I approach the pond, I hear a plop. The frog pops, jumps, plop. Plop. So this is, an everyday experience. But from our viewpoint of the modern mind, of our viewpoint of what we call reality, our viewpoint from the old pond, our viewpoint from the everyday world, that we just assume is the pond is over there, the frog is over there, and I'm over here, and the frog jumps and it hits the water, and it makes a sound wave, and the sound wave goes whoop, and I hear it in my ear, and I say, oh, a frog jumped. I say, what was that noise? And then my words come in and say, oh, a frog. Okay, what else is new? And we go on. See, so the frog, the old pond, is an old viewpoint, is an everyday viewpoint. We don't even question it. This is the reality we assume is reality. But it's shaped by our language. It's shaped by, and if you ever remember in English class, the grammar of English, the structure of English that makes it work, Indo-European language, is subject, verb, object. Subject is a noun, verb is an action, and the object is a noun. The subject does something to an object. So a frog is an object, and it jumps, and it creates another object, a sound. But it's all happening, you see, in time. Noun, everything's a noun. The pond is a noun. The frog is a noun. The jumping is a verb. The plop is a noun. It's a thing, you hear it. You name it, plop. So anyway, this is the structure with which this is the old pond. This is the old pond, but it's assumed to be the only pond. So let's pull this cotton ball apart. I have a cotton ball here. Here's a cotton ball. Oh, I stopped by a field one year and plucked this from the cotton. And look at the sharpness of the thorns. And you can feel the seeds in there. Oh, imagine what it would be like to have to sit there all day long and pull the seeds out of the cotton, to free the cotton from the seeds. And you would put yourself on the thorns anyway. So the haiku is kind of like that. The haiku is a cotton ball, and it's got a seed in it. But you have to watch out for the thorns, because you can prick your finger and there would be blood on the snow. So you have to get by the thorns to pull the seed. So I'm rambling here, but the seed is a different viewpoint, a different way of looking. So let's see if we can pull this cotton ball apart. The old pond is your mind. And the old pond is a mind in which everything is a thing. And all things are separated by space and time. If you look around you, everything in the room, like look in this, well, this picture, and I can name it, and then I can name all the pictures, and I can name all the things on my little artifact board, my little museum of artifacts, you see. A robe, a shawl, my holy shawl, glasses, everything is named. Everything has a place. Everything can be found in the dictionary or Google, you see. Everything is something. And in that old pond, I'm something too. I'm a thing too. Because I'm standing here in this room, and the rest of the room is over there. So this room is kind of like a container of things. And then I'm a thing in the room. And that's just the way we see the world. And that's okay. It's a functional world. We need that viewpoint in order to fix anything or go anywhere or talk to anybody or function with any other people. It's just an assumed reality in which we function. But this is a viewpoint. It's consciousness. The old pond is consciousness. And consciousness has content. Consciousness is like a fishbowl with content in it. And the content has names. And the content functions under grammatical rules, subject, verb, object. Things do things to things. Nouns do things, do something to nouns. This is just the way our consciousness is, the operating system of the consciousness. Now the haiku, or the Zen koan, its function is to break that consciousness, to slap that consciousness, to wake it up, to punch it, to poke it, to wake it up from the trance of words, from the trance of the old pond. So we have an old pond. A frog jumps. Now who is the frog? What is the frog? You are the frog. See, now we got to switch now. We got to move from the pond being over there, the frog being over there, the plop being over there, the objective viewpoint, third person viewpoint. Everything's a person, place, or thing. Third person grammar. Everything's a person, place, or thing. Pond, frog, plop. Third person. But what's the first person? What's the first? Well, we think, well, the first person means you say, I wrote that. It's first person, it's writing. But we're looking at the framing of reality. We frame reality as the third person. Everything's an object. But where's the first person? Now Zen, Buddhism, and other mystical traditions ask the question, what am I? Where am I? Who am I? Who am I in this world where everything's a thing? I'm missing. I don't exist in it. Oh, I only exist in it when I'm a thing. So if I want to find myself, I got to look for something. I can't be nothing. I can't be empty. I have to find something. So I'll look around for something in the third person, in the old pond. So we're back to the pond, the old pond. A frog jumps. Now who's the frog? You are the frog. Why do you jump? Because you realize the old pond is stale. The old pond is container. An old pond defines you. The old pond is the old world. The old pond is the old mind. The old pond is the grammatically correct mind. The old pond is known. Everything is known. Everything's on Google. If it's not on Google, it doesn't exist. If it's not in the dictionary, it doesn't exist, you see. So everything exists. Everything is known. And what's known is in memory. And what's memory but the past? So what's the old pond? But the known world that is past, that is memory. So if I sense in my soul that something's wrong with this old pond, not the pond, nothing wrong with the pond, but it's a container. If I realize that something is containing me, at some point, the frog leaps. At some point, there's just a leap. At some point, you leap. Now, where do you leap? Into another pond? Into another old pond? Leap from one pond to another? That's what most of us do. Because I'm tired of this pond. I'm tired of this religion, this teaching, this cult, this political party. I'm going to leap to another one. It's always horizontal. I just leap to another pond. Oh, I'll try this one for a while. Or you buy a new car, and pretty soon it's an old car, so you leap to a new car. So we go, it's like skipping rocks. We go leaping from one pond to another, but it's all horizontal. And as soon as you leap to a new pond, very quickly it becomes an old pond, and you want to leap again. So it's skipping rocks, it's skipping frogs, horizontally. But this haiku is not that. This haiku breaks that up, smashes it, goes beyond grammar. So let's get back to it. You got the old pond, the old mind, your past, your known world. Everything is just recycled information. The old pond. One day, the frustration, the pressure cooker, the pain of it, there's a leap. But there's no frog leaping. There's just a leap. There's just a shift. Now we get to the plop. Now in the old pond, the plop is over there. The plop is caused by the frog. I hear the plop. Science maps it out. You got the vibrations. Whoop, whoop. I hear it. What do you hear? I hear the frog. Cause and effect. So the old pond functions in cause and effect. Everything causes everything. Now let's get to the plop. The plop is a sound. Plop. So it's a word. I can say it. Plop. Plop. But it's a sound. Plop. And usually in the old pond, the plop is a word. I can P-L-O-P. The plop is caused by the frog. I hear it. What'd you hear? I heard a plop. It's not Beethoven. I mean, it's not a canary. You know, those are all names. Sounds are names, then become things. So I hear a plop is a thing. You see, and it's caused by a frog, and that's the old pond. But if you ever sit on the front porch, which I like to do in the summer, and I listen to a mockingbird, or I just listen to the sounds of the cars on Main Street, which I live, which is a busy street now, and I just meditate on the sound. I just hear sounds, and I disconnect them from the cause. So if there's a sound of a truck going by, I don't say, truck. I practice listening through the sound. I practice listening through the names of the sound and the cause of the sound. So with practice, and you can all do that, and perhaps you do it. Sit in the backyard, sit on the beach. You just hear the sound before it's named. You just hear the sound as sound with no gap between you and the sound, with no cause of the sound. There's just the sound. There's just the sound. You are the sound, and the sound is you. You are the hearing of this. You don't hear the sound. In the old pond, we hear the sound. What do you hear? I hear a sound. But in the new pond, which really isn't a new pond because it's no pond, in the no pond, there is no sound separate from you. You are the sound, and the sound is you. We get into this in music. If you really get into music, you can lose your sense of self listening to music, and for a moment, you're transported. You are the music. There's no gap. And then somebody calls your name and you're back out into there's music and here's me. But for a moment, you were in a samadhi of music. Now samadhi, rather than make it some esoteric, highfalutin mental state that only the mystics and yogis can get to, samadhi is an everyday mind. Samadhi is unity consciousness. It's when you are the sound and the sound is you. You are the hearing. Instead of saying, I hear a sound, I hear the hearing. Instead of saying, I see the frog, I see the seeing. There's a shift here, a wake-up shift. From the world being out there to you being the world. In this shift, it's first person, just to frame it with the grammar. It's the first person of I am. I am is who you are, but it's empty of things, because things are out there. Or even things in there like ideas and feelings, mental states, choices, mental formations. All that is the interior world. So I am is not that. So in the plop is I am the sound. There is just the sound. But it's not sound, because if I say it's sound, it's over there. I'm hearing a sound. There's no one hearing. There's another haiku. No one walks along this path this autumn evening. What? No one walks along this path this one? So, if you walk to the door, who's walking? Well, people will say that all the time on Facebook. You come up with something that says, well, who's talking? Who's asking? Who's talking? It's just a knee-jerk thing. People say that because that's what they're supposed to say, because you can't answer it. It makes you feel like, well, you're just, you don't know what you're talking about. But anyway, those are just more words. So we're getting to, you have to sense your way through this. You have to feel your way in the dark. You have to sense your way into this and not just grab it with the intellect. Say, oh, well, I know what that means. You can tell everybody what you know. You don't know anything. We don't know anything. The plop is unknowable. You can't know the plop. You are the plop in this haiku, and if you are the plop, you can't know the plop, because to know the plop, you have to be outside the plop. So to know anything, you have to be outside of it. So to know yourself, you have to be outside of yourself. You have to be in grammar. You have to be a subject and an object. You have to be stuck in the old pond. You see, so to know yourself is to know the plop. You are the plop is you. You cannot know, you can't know the plop when you are the plop. You can't know yourself when you are the self. And how can you not be you? That's the joke. You are the world, and the world is you. You are what you see. You are what you hear. You are what you touch and feel and sense and smell. You are that. You are the plop. But at the same time, we're not the plop, viewpoints. I'm not the plop's over there. The frog's over there, cause and effect. I hear the plop cause is over there. That's a viewpoint of the modern world of materialism, where everything's a thing, and everything is shaped by grammar and cause and effect, you see. But that's a tape loop when you want to know, who am I really? What am I? Am I something? That doesn't work. Who am I? To ask that question, plop.